Hey art lovers, hello, it's me Tracy and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna have dinner. I've had a hard day at work and I just want to have some me time. Just dance. Some me time. So I'm gonna do my art as well as I'm gonna have, I don't know if you're seeing that. Yeah, noodles and hard-boiled egg. Yeah, and can't leave out the cookies. The cookies, just saying. So this is my curry noodles. I do love noodles. It's a quick go-to when you're feeling really lazy or you don't have much time or you really don't want to be cooking. Just some noodles, you know, pretty much good. This is curry. I've never tried it, so this is the first time anyone's ever seen me try curry noodles, like curry soup noodle. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, and definitely do comment on the videos. And what else was I gonna tell you? Definitely thank you so much for picking up my book, the Let's Gouache Reference Guide. I'm gonna go through that book with you sometime soon, probably today, just so we can start doing a little bit of revision and just discuss what it is that I'm talking about when we're gonna do gouache. Alright? So let me have my noodles before they get soggy. Ew. Before they get soggy, right? Not bad. And then we can get right into the painting. Hey art lovers, hello gouache lovers and newbies. As promised, I have the Let's Gouache Reference Guide written by me, Tracy Ann. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and click that subscription button, and as well as give me a thumbs up, like and share the video. Alright, so as promised, I said I would go through this book just quickly so you can see what it is all about. Some people like to check the product before buying it. You can definitely get it on Amazon. You have both the ebook and the hard copy. Of course, I had to get a copy for myself, right? So let's jump right into it. It's the artwork cover is also on my channel. You can see the process of creating this art cover. All right, let's see what the back looks like. So the back is pretty neat as well, meaning there's not a lot of business going on, just white words. So get it's a practical introduction guide and a quick tip using on gouache for newbies and gouache lovers. It's easy to understand and the explanation of gouache techniques and blending and mixing methods. This reference guide gives a simplified overview of things you need to know to get started and complete your project, right? Quick access references, which are at the back, that I do, and you can get over 20 of them. So with no Photoshop, no cropping, no blending, nothing, just the raw image of what the result is when I use the brush. Alright, so let's get right into it. So I'll leave the link below so you can actually, not below, but in the description box so you can go ahead and check it out on Amazon. Alrighty, so just a quick introduction about how I got started with gouache. And this is the gouache I use. It's an everyday gouache. Here, actually this is what the box looked like. It's a no name, well there's a name on it but I can't read Chinese. So this is the box that it comes in. 24. Alrighty, it's got a handle too. Let me open it up so you can actually see. So I did a color chart as well, and I keep it on it. So this is the gouache. I've been using it for over a year. It's not moldy nor anything. The only thing that it will dry a little bit out, just dry a bit, because it's been, you know, it's not as jelly as it was when it first came. So all you have to do is spritz some water on it and activate it, or just dip your paintbrush and activate it. So if you want that nice jelly out of the tube, kind of a creamy look, you probably have to mix it first with a lot, and then get that kind of a texture. But not with it, you won't get it once it's dried up like that, a bit hard. Just right out of the tube, like you dip your paintbrush in, and then it comes out because it's slightly dried, right? Let's put that aside. Let me tell you all about how I got started. So I am over the moon excited to present this book to you, this reference guide, and I have landscape pictures as well in the back. So I'm totally in love with gouache right now, and I have this medium as my main staple. I initially started painting with watercolors, but I soon realized that the basic watercolor mixtures resulted in a light and faint appearance, and when it dried up, it just had that dull kind of a look. So it lost the vibrancy of the image, and I created it slowly started irritating me once it's all done, because I wasn't getting that vibrancy. It wasn't like pow, like a gouache would do. So I didn't totally give up on watercolor though. I started using it and then thinking about other ways to, you know, top up the color, like applying layers upon layers. So I still appreciate the medium, right? I still appreciate watercolor, and I still use it for staining. It gives that uncontrolled design. Yes, I still had success with it because I use it for other techniques as opposed to direct painting. I was very reluctant to use gouache, much less I had to spend money on the product, right? You have to buy it in order to use it. So I'm like, oh dear. I was very curious, and I wanted to know, you know, find another solution for painting that is comfortable to me, that acts similar to watercolor. And gouache is the only thing that I could find with water-based that looks vibrant and had the same, partially the same, what word am I using? The same mixture when you do a wash, or similar to watercolor. Excuse me. After watching countless videos and reading about the product, I finally decided to jump right in. I just went for it. So no more procrastination. I just, you know, did it. I either go big or I go home. So I bought a no-name brand, which is this guy. Actually, first I bought dry gouache and I tried that, but then I still bought the no-name brand because I wanted the jelly, and it has 24 cups in it. And from using the dry gouache transition into the jelly, I was definitely in love with gouache, and I've never turned back. I really appreciate gouache as my main medium, even though I'll be trying other sorts of painting medium, but gouache is it for me. I do like acrylic and all those other kinds of painting material, but because I'm like a watercolor based girl, so I like the foundation of watercolor, but I like the vibrancy. So gouache gives me the vibrancy, and because it's water based, it gives me that satisfaction of watercolor painting. So that was it. I found my piece of magic, and that's my story in a nutshell. So I always say hello newbies and hello gouache lovers. Although you're art lovers, but gouache is the thing for me. So I will use gouache with almost all of my painting. Rarely I would go ahead and use watercolor unless I'm trying a product, because when you touch gouache, it has that flat matte finish, as well as that when I use certain watercolor paper, it has a slight graining or residue on top of it. When I rub my hands across, I can feel the difference. Alright, so quick tip, no beating around the bush, let's get right into it. See what I talk about this book? I have no time to waste your time and my time. I just get right into it. So it's quick tips. Tips about gouache. Gouache is pronounced gouache. Gouache. So like G-O-O-W-A-S-H. Gouache. Gouache. But just say it faster. Don't bite your tongue, okay? So gouache is similar to regular watercolor paints as it uses water to dilute. You do have acrylic-based gouache, but I'm talking about the watercolor-based gouache. Gouache is considered an opaque medium. It is designed to be opaque, to be thick to hide stuff. That's what gouache is designed for. But if you dilute it like with tons of water, like buttload of waters, like lots of water, you will get a nice watercolor wash that you can use for staining or just creating soft layers. But gouache is really made to be thick, applied thick, like a poster paint. All right. Gouache has been in existence for over 600 years, more than that by now, and is normally used for commercial use, artists, poster paintings, illustrations, comics, and mostly design work. So gouache is neither transparent, meaning allowing light to pass through, nor translucent, which means allowing light to pass, allowing some light to pass through. I lost my train of thought. Silly. Gouache is opaque, matte, and can be blended with other paint medium. So think about that. Gouache can be blended with other paint medium. Okay, it can be blended with watercolor, acrylic. I guess I've never tried it, but it can be blended with that. It also air dries quicker than regular watercolor pigment. When I say quicker, meaning you still have to give it time to air dry. But I find that when I use watercolor paint, if I'm not using a heat gun, or some people use hair dryer, and that you're just letting it naturally air dry, I find that the gouache pigment dries faster than the watercolor. Saying quicker doesn't mean that as you put it on it dries up. No, it just means that the time process for both watercolor, because you might use a lot more water in watercolor, and it also depends on the paper that you're using too. But I find that no matter which paper I use, if I'm doing gouache, it dries a little bit faster. Not like put it on and it dries up, but a little bit faster than a watercolor. Gouache, where am I? Gouache is highly intense, packed pigment, which makes it opaque. So it's really jam-packed with pigments, and that's where the vibrancy comes from. Thus, it does not allow light to pass through like watercolor. Okay, just that's the science behind it. So gouache paint is best suited for paper. You can use it on other, like I use it on canvas. I use it on wood. I use it on regular printer paper. But the best paper is cotton paper to use it on, because it soaks up the water from the gouache, but it also gives it that foundation to create other layer without ripping apart or anything like that. So even though I did it on canvas or wood, I still prefer using it on paper. My wood result was great. My canvas result was not that great. It still looked pixelated, but watercolor paper, cotton watercolor paper is best. All right. Gouache paint is best suited for paper. As I said, it is versatile and tends to dry brittle due to the chalkiness of the substance. So some gouache dries chalky, like has that white chalky or that kind of dusty looking on top. While professional gouache, I think I'm going to try and do an example for you, not today. Professional gouache dries a lot better and the finish is great. This one that I use here, the one that I have, it does not dry chalky no matter which canvas I use or or paper I use. It does not dry chalky for me. I have got great result with this. That's why I keep using it. The only thing I don't know if it's light fast, mean if you have your painting in the sun for an extended period of time, over a longer period, if it will go dull or anything without glazing it or coating it on top with some sealer. That I don't know because I haven't had mine in the sun. Excuse me. From my experience, gouache does have the tendency to behave like watercolor. When you add lots of water to create a wash mixture, I mean you water it down. So it does have the tendency to behave like watercolor for me in my example. All right. Gouache paint is made up of natural and synthetic pigment, gum arabic, gum dextrin, and adding water to create a thick paste texture. painting medium that tends to dry chalky and is opaque. Hence, that's how gouache is made. So it's made different from watercolor, but it has the watercolor base. The gum arabic is actually the binder that actually binds the pigment together to make it paintable, if you know what I mean. That's the science behind it. You can look it up if you want, give you a better example, explanation. All right, so gouache can be reactivated, meaning if you paint something and it dries up and you're working on another area, but you find that the first part that you did is a little bit too thick and you just want to blend it out a little bit more. If you dip your paintbrush in water, just very subtly, and brush it across, you can activate it and start using it as paint, like you just freshly added it to the paper. So gouache can be reactivated. So be very careful not to get water on your paint after you're painting after you're done, because it will shift. If you just put water in it unnecessarily, it will definitely shift, or I would say bleed. Is that the word? However, just don't allow that to happen, okay? It's not something that is gonna just, if you put water and it's just gonna move all over. No, it's just if you brush something on it, it probably will just dry and soak up the water depending on the paper if water gets on it. But if you actually brush it or move it around or touch it, or you know, it will definitely disturb the look of your painting. All right, so be very careful. Lifting occurs when the gouache paint is reactivated with water and starts to separate from its original state from the paper. That's what I was talking about. All right, so this is just a painting that I did in gouache. I tried this brush. It worked really good for me. It's a synthetic brush. I think it's Zuya. I don't remember the name. I'll pull it up. I don't want to mispronounce it. And this is just me trying different shades of purple. Just playing around with gouache to get this result. Ooh, matches my nails. Haha. But I always put my my go-to, like I don't hide my product that I'm using, even though it's a no-name brand according to me. But if you like it, and I'm just giving you practical reference guide, because this is what I use, this is the results I get from using this. So that's why I put the pictures in here. So different types of gouache, like you have the gouache tubes, you have dry gouache cakes, the jelly cups, professional artist grade gouache. They also have the student grade too for the professional, but those are way expensive, right? So there are many different types and brands of artist grades too, like the Hublin, Winsor Newton. You have I forgot the other one's name, but if you look it up, these are harder to find, more expensive. I think Paul Rubin too, yes, if I'm not mistaken. You got so many of those, but most people tend to go for Winsor and Newton, Reese's, I think too, because they like the quality that it gets, which is perfect. I would definitely use those too. But this is a practical book for the everyday gouacher who actually want to start gouaching, but don't want to go for the professional grade right away, but just want to see how they like gouache, how it's working for them. And even those who are average skill and just want to try the product or the method or the medium, this is for you, okay? But you can definitely go ahead and use professional gouache, no problem there. But they cost way more, right? So this is just the everyday gouacher's guide material. So basic gouache painting techniques. This is definitely, you gotta know this, okay? If you're painting, I know this video is going, but I'm gonna wrap this up with the basic gouache techniques. So you have, this is my idea of basic techniques. You have staining, wet on wet, dry brushing, opaque layers, splatters or blooms, or sometimes blending. All right, so a staining is you make a foundation layer and you create a wash mixture, a very light diluted wash mixture. That's staining for me. You put it on, let it dry, then you put on another layer somewhere else, let it dry, and then you keep going so you get that staining effect, like you just got a stain on your shirt. Wet and wet is when you dip the brush into the water, apply it to your paper, and then you add the mixed gouache mixture and just apply it to the paper. So that's your wet on wet. Dry brushing is you wipe the brush on a paper towel to reduce the water and allowing the brush to be slightly wet. Then using quick and steady stroke to paint mixture to the paper, the wash mixture to the paper, creating a feather like a fan design, and that's dry brushing. So your brush is definitely wet, but it's not soaking wet. It's just slightly wet so you can pick up the mixture, but it's almost like you're wiping off the paint on your paper, that kind of an effect. Opaque layers are when you apply a thick layer of gouache and you only adding a little water to the paste. So that's when it's extremely thick, like you can get it right out of the tube and you apply it to the paper. So opaque, remember opaque meaning thick, not allowing light to pass through, and it's just really a paste, right? Splatters or blooms, I love this one. This is a splotchy abstract technique using mostly water. So dip the brush in water, dip it in your solution, put it on the paper and watch it spread, right? So you can soak the brush in the water, then add a bit of paint to the tip of the brush, which is applied to a dry or wet paper. So whether wet or dry, it doesn't matter, to create the design or effect that you like, right? Blending. So blending is harsh stroke lines. It's blending out harsh stroke lines. So you know how you would after you've done, let me show you here. So say these lines here are harsh stroke lines, that they're very vibrant. So I deliberately created these because I wanted an outline. So if I'm going to blend this, I would dip my brush in the water and slightly brush it down. It's almost like reactivating the paint. Brush it down so you blend it right into the paper and remove that harsh stroke line so it becomes nice and probably faint like this side here. So nicely blending it in. So that's what I consider blending. Alright, so removing the harsh stroke line and creating a blending effect. Alrighty, so I do hope you like this. I will definitely continue. Yeah, I definitely continue the next portion of it as I go through the book. So thank you so much. Remember to pick it up on Amazon. I got both e-version as well as the hard copy like this. Very handy, not big, hold in your purse, you know, kind of a type of book. As well as you can use it as your reference guide. And I definitely have materials that I've used to create this, as well as reference pictures right up front so you can see even the paper texture. So I did not crop or Photoshop or nothing with these images. They're as is. Alrighty, thank you guys. Give it a thumbs up, share. Definitely get this book, subscribe, and see you for part 2. Uno, dos, un, dos. Okay, 1, 2, au revoir. Bye-bye. Take care.